Some secrets are too heavy to keep. Get ready for today's most shocking confessions. Story 1. I've had 2 abortions. I've had 2 abortions, but this most recent one really hurt me. I was working as an escort, and a regular client came in and stealthed me, basically raped me. He's a married man with a wife and child, and as much as I wanted to ruin his life, I decided not to. I found out I was pregnant on the same day I got the keys to my first ever apartment. What was supposed to be a good day ended up being the worst day. I felt so angry, sad, and alone. After my first abortion, I told myself I'd never do it again, that it would be the only time. But I had no other option and had to go through it again. Ever since that situation, I've decided to stop escorting. I really do miss it sometimes, but I know it's not what I was meant to be doing. Overall, this experience has taught me so much about my strength and my worth. It's a journey, but now I'm focusing on healing and creating a life that's more aligned with who I truly am. Story 2. I exaggerate my mannerisms so people will realize I'm pregnant. I am an obese woman, 5 feet 10, and about 285 pounds. I am also 8 months pregnant. To be clear, I wasn't always this big. This game, I had medical problems which caused me to gain 70+ pounds, and I was working on losing those when I got pregnant. I didn't make a big deal about announcing the pregnancy. If you're a close friend, you got the info. However, people I work with, for example, didn't get any kind of formal announcement. I think I look pregnant, like I clearly wasn't this big 8 months ago. But one day, only about a couple weeks ago, someone I work with casually mentioned, "So I hear you're pregnant," and replied, "Yes, I'm due in March." And her eyes got so big, she had no idea I was so far along. I don't have a cute belly, but it is big and round, and I guess I'm big enough prior to pregnancy that people just think I've gained weight. So, I've started exaggerating my waddle and rub my belly way more than necessary. This may be the only time I'm pregnant, and by golly, I'm gonna milk it while I can. Edit. Damn, some of you really missed the point of this, but that's okay. Go off, I guess? Thanks to the people in the comments who understand what I'm saying and are defending me. Story 3. My sister's husband tried to kiss me, and I don't know if I should tell her. This happened last weekend, and I'm still feeling sick just thinking about it. I went over to my sister's place for dinner, just a casual family thing. Her husband, who we'll call Mike, was being his usual charming self, joking around, pouring wine for everyone, making sure we were all having a good time. Nothing out of the ordinary. Later in the night, my sister went to bed early because she wasn't feeling great, so it was just me and Mike finishing off the wine in the kitchen. We were talking about random stuff. Mostly I was just venting about work stress. He was super understanding, shit like, "You deserve better," and "You're amazing, don't let anyone make us feel otherwise." It felt nice having someone to listen, TBH. But then, he leaned in. First of all, I thought he reached for the bottle of wine. No. He leaned in, like really leaned in, and I froze. I just pulled back, kinda laughed awkwardly, saying, "Huh? What are you doing?" And instantly went defensive too. "Oh, I am so drunk," and wasn't thinking. Don't overthink it. I left. I left right after that, making some excuse about needing to get up early. I haven't told my sister yet, and I DK if I should. She's always talking about how perfect their marriage is, how lucky she is to have him, and I don't want to be the one to shatter that. But at the same time, it feels so wrong to keep this to myself. What if this wasn't a one-time thing? What if he's done this to someone else? Or worse, what if he tries it again? I feel like I'm stuck in this impossible situation, and it's killing me. Would it tell her? Or just let it go? Story 4. I'm being offered to have sex for money. I'm 22F, and I just recently moved for college. I had some savings, which helped me for the first few months, but now I ran out of my savings and have been struggling. I pay rent and bills, and cost of living is really high where I live. I know this guy who was introduced to me by my cousin, but I've never hung out with him in person, just over text. He's rich, but it's unknown where he gets his money. I think some kind of dealer? Anyway, him and I have been texting, and he basically offered to give me money/gifts in exchange for sex. I have never been offered this before, and when he first brought this up to me, I immediately refused and told him that I am not that kind of person. As time went on, I started to think about it more and more. I do enjoy having sex, but the only sexual partners I've had I felt feelings for. With this man, I feel no feelings for him, and I don't know how I could even sleep with him. The more money I need, the more I consider it, and I feel so guilty for that. So I can't imagine how guilty I would feel if I actually went through with it. He offered to pay my rent and also give me money when I ask him, but he doesn't say how much. He said it would depend on how I act with him. I would basically be selling myself. I feel like I'm being blinded right now by my financial needs and hardships, and not seeing that this man is probably just taking advantage of me. Can someone give me some advice on what to do or just give it to me straight? Honestly, any thoughts/opinions are welcome. Thanks. Story 5. Does anyone else get really scared/sad over the passage of time? I was hanging out with my family and all of a sudden I'm sitting in my room getting ready for bed. It's so strange how 1 second you're doing something like laughing with your parents, and then suddenly 15 minutes have passed, and then a week passes, and you can't get back the time or slow it down. I want to savor the fleeting moments I have with my loved ones, but then they're over after what seems like nothing. Part of me still can't believe I'm not in elementary school anymore. It makes me really sad that all this time has gone by and I can't get any of it back, because one day people I love will pass on, and I can't spend any more time with them at all. Not even another second. Does anyone else feel this way? Story 6. I'm a secret alcoholic, and this week I'm trying to be sober. Basically, the title says it all. I'm a functional alcoholic, like I have a job, never drink and drive, don't drink in the mornings and don't get wasted. But I am definitely addicted to drinking, and feel like my drinking is out of control. Compilation night. This week I have decided, enough is enough. I don't like the fact that I feel so compelled to drink, even if it's just a drink a night. I haven't drank since Saturday, and today I'm really struggling. The urge to drink is so overwhelming, I'm genuinely surprised at how strong it is. The worst part is no one knows. I drink secretly, as my partner doesn't like us drinking other than socially. I'm determined to stay strong though. I find that once I've had my evening meal, then urge gets less strong, but right after work and while cooking it's at strongest. Story 7. I'm a school teacher and a bottle-a-day alcoholic. Just as the title says, I, 34M, teach elementary school, and while I don't drink every day, I average about a 750 milliliters, or a fifth, of alcohol per day. Teaching is an insanely stressful job, and honestly doesn't pay that well. My days depend completely on the students' feelings. Some days are amazing, others are complete shit. The issue is that for every shit day I come home and down a bottle of whiskey, gin, or even Jaeger, then I get more. I try to stop myself, but I can't. I sometimes have lower energy in class, but I have also gotten to the point where I rarely feel hangovers. I'm ready for you to shit on me for teaching children this way, and fair enough. But also 99% of you have never taught a class of children, and can't comprehend the amount of energy and patience it takes to govern this shit. And yeah, you'll shit on me for trying to justify myself too. Story 8. The sound of my dad peeing makes me unfathomably angry. This is super weird, I am posting, because I've never ever heard of someone with a similar problem. I can hear my dad pee from my bedroom. Sometimes it's enough to wake me up. Over the last few months, I've noticed the sound makes me so irrationally angry. I feel such intense negative emotions about it that I often cry or feel like slamming my head against the wall. The reason I decided to make this post was because I accidentally heard him pee a few minutes ago, and it was enough to make me throw up in my mouth. It's also negatively affecting our relationship, because even though he doesn't realize it, he spends all day inflicting mental damage on me. I have no problem with urine or the sound of other people peeing, just him. Even recalling the sound of him peeing destroys me. To prevent hearing him pee, I wear noise-canceling headphones, listen to music, and I sleep with foam earplugs in. That's all. Scissor. Story 9. Need advice. Should I confess to my longtime crush? Hey everyone, well, I'm a 21M in my final year of BTech with just 2 months left before I graduate. I've had a crush on a girl in my class since the first semester, but I never really spoke to her until recently. Over the past 2 to 3 months, we've started having some casual online conversations in Instagram and sharing reels, but nothing beyond that. She's from the north, and I'm from Hyderabad. Honestly, we've caught real feelings for her, but I'm scared to confess. I recently heard from my friends that she had a crush on another guy from a different section, but that didn't work out. Not sure how true this is. I really like her, but I don't know if I should confess my feelings or just move on without saying anything. A part of me feels like she'll reject me, but another part wonders if we'll regret not telling her. What do you guys think? Should I go for it or let it be? Story 10. Just accidentally found out and confirmed my suspicions that my ex cheated on me for months. I, F20, had suspicions but never dug into it to respect both of our privacies, and then we just broke up. They ended up admitting 5 months before we ended things, and all I asked is that they just stop talking. I still had a feeling that they continued though, and they did. I just saw a picture of them together with my ex holding him in her lap, wearing matching pajamas too to make it worse. You've got to be kidding me. I feel like 9 months of progress has been for nothing, and I'm back to the same level of self-hatred and lack of confidence that I was when it ended. People tell me I'm better looking, and I was out of her league, and people admit feelings for me, but it just refuses to register in my brain. None of it seems to matter because of what happened between us. I lost family, I was homeless for some time, I nearly dropped out of school, and I might not be able to graduate because of my GPA and lack of funds. I even worked an intense factory job at 19 to get an apartment for us so she could go to college, and she was actively cheating on me during that time. I genuinely lost myself for her to cheat on me with what people assure is a downgrade. But what does that mean? What does it matter? Everything she and her family said is back at the forefront of my brain, and I'm certain I'm no better than dirt once again. She still has so much power over me. I hate it. I genuinely get scared at any possibility of a relationship, and my line of thinking has permanently altered into defensiveness because of this relationship, and they just get to be happy. I've been getting sick with the thought of it, but I hope it betters soon. Story 11. I've lied to my community. So I play this video game with this very popular player, and I'm a mod and popular member in his community. I've cheated in the game without getting caught to complete a very hard challenge. Him and his community are very against cheaters and hackers. I've only done it once because I was not skilled enough to complete the challenge without cheats. I have since completed the challenge without cheats. I just feel bad for cheating and installing hacks in the game when I know it's against everything his community stands for. I'm afraid that once he finds out, he'll be kicked out and ridiculed for doing all this. Story 12. I'm a recovering addict. This is my first post, so I do apologize in advance. I'm 19F, and I'm a recovering meth addict. I've never been to rehab or anything, so I hope I don't offend anyone by referring to myself as a former addict. I've been clean for 11 days now. No one in my family really knows, so I feel like I can't get support through them. And I don't have any friends, so I've been kind of doing this alone. Just for some backstory. I was introduced to and first tried smoking meth in May 2022 at age 16. I met a coworker around that time who I was very attracted to, but he was in a relationship of 3 years, so I didn't think to have any hopes for being with him. Things changed, LOL, and we started talking and getting to know each other towards the end of 2022. We got together in January of 2023, and I quit smoking meth cold turkey. This man and I connected in so many different ways. I knew from the beginning I wanted him to be in the rest of my life, so I immediately got clean for him. I never told him about my addiction, because I didn't want to ruin things between us so early on. I stayed clean for a while, and this man made me feel like the best person I've ever been. Our relationship was so strong and amazing all around. Then my father passed away in March 2024 when I was 18, and that's when I started using again. I had pretty much been using almost the whole time since then, up until 11 days ago. Being an addict definitely caused a lot of problems in my relationship, without me realizing it in the moment. After some time passed, we got in a fight and ended up breaking up right before Christmas 2024. He is my first love, and I think about him every day. We did talk a lot and end on good terms. He suggested he moves out and takes time to just focus on himself and save money so we could get our own place. Our living situation did stress us out a lot, and we weren't able to save our money like we should have. I agreed, and we've pretty much just been taking time to ourselves to figure some things out and get our mental right. We still are friends on social media, we've seen each other since the breakup, and we're cool, we just don't talk much anymore. Since I stopped smoking meth, I've had so many realizations, and I just want to be a better person so I can eventually be the perfect person for him and for myself. The thing I'm having issues with is, I loved the way my body looked when I was in active addiction. I've always struggled with being overweight, but I was able to lose a lot of weight and be comfortable with myself. I'm 5'7", and I got my weight down to about 175. Loved the way my body was proportioned, and I loved having a skinny face, but my acne would get so mad, and of course I would keep picking at it. That part made me feel so ugly. It never got to the point where I looked like an obvious addict, but I feel like someone who smokes meth would know, if that makes sense. Since I've been clean, I've just been wanting to eat more because I've always enjoyed eating, and I felt like I missed out on eating so many amazing foods because I was an addict. But I've already started noticing I'm gaining a little weight back. I struggle with motivation to be consistent with working out. It's alive. Does anyone have any advice with getting through this by myself? I don't feel like I have anyone around me to talk to, and I would just like some guidance. I don't know if I'm crazy for waiting for my ex, or if it's safe for me to wait until we accomplish our personal goals to be together. I know this is long enough, and there's a lot of details I did not include, but I hope it's not too long to be read. I'm sorry if this was confusing in any way. Thanks in advance. Story 13. Why is it not okay to talk about Arabs' genocide and slavery of black people? Black people have been oppressed horribly, and they were genocided in Libya by Arabs and are currently being treated as slaves in some African countries. Why? Why is it not PSC to talk about this? White people need to hold them accountable and create a critical theory about their power over black people in the countries they ruled over. Arabs contributed to the majority of colorism in the countries they colonized. Coles, they were obsessed with light skin. They were also insanely anti-Semitic and think they're a superior race due to being Aryans ever since Hitler came along. Coos, they look like white people. Story 14. I'm ready to live in the present. I, 26F, kinda wish my ex, 29M, and I were able to talk things out instead of breaking up. We were together for 4 years and have been through a lot, and for most of our relationship we actually did great. But at the time approaching our breakup, we both were getting stressed about me being unemployed, me having a hard time finding employment, and him stressing about if I'll ever find one soon. I just didn't see the bigger picture at the time and only thought of myself and how I felt at the time, and basically threw myself a pity party, and I think we both chose to stay silent about it instead of communicating to each other how stressed we both were with the situation. When the breakup happened, we still ended up living together, but I couldn't move out due to certain circumstances. I became toxic AF. I never even knew I was capable of doing the things I did to him. I'm glad he stood his ground and kept his distance from me in the end despite my toxicity. But now that I've done some reflecting, that was just me lashing out and wishing he chose me, wanting to hear that he still loved and chose me despite feeling like an unemployed loser. I low-key wish that I got a chance to be better for him. Whenever we had big misunderstandings, he tried breaking up with me. This happened 3x. In our whole 4 years of being together, I somehow managed to calm him down when he was having panic attacks during this time, and somehow managed to, due to lack of a better word, convince him to stay with me. Final attempt, I realized that I was exhausted of feeling like I have to convince him to stay with me, and wanted him to actually choose me this time if he really loved me. As much as I loved him, I needed to choose myself first this time and gather what little self-respect I had left. And I didn't have much left because I ended up begging him to take me back at one point. I wanted to get this off my chest one last time before I take his and his family's advice to be kinder to myself and leave all of this behind me. I've done some pretty horrible things while being in this relationship, even going as far as blaming myself for the death of our dog who developed cancer, and I wish I could apologize profusely to him in person. But I also acknowledge that he is doing what's best for him, and I have to respect that. I have to accept the shit I've done and move past it for my peace of mind, even if that means I don't get the chance to make it up to him. He will always have a place in my heart that will stay empty, but they will remind me of the lessons I learned from being with him. He's not coming back, and that's life. I just hope that wherever he is, that he finds someone better, someone who will keep choosing him. MS, maybe in our next life we can try again with our ducky goody. Pess. Happy crying face. I will always love you, my big strong boy, and know that I'm rooting for you from afar. Heart, 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 TLDR. Getting stuff off my chest about my past relationship so I can finally move forward. Story 15. A confession about a game. I know it looks like that I am a crazy-ass weirdo for confessing this, especially that this is nothing comparable to what people normally confess in this community, but I just want to say it. Basically, there's this game called Half-Life. I play it, and I like it, but recently, I played it again, and I started to get obsessed with the story of the game, especially because the creators don't continue it since 2007, and they made a small advancement in 2020. I literally spend hours of my day just imagining things about the story and what would be its continuation. At home, at work, playing with my friends, etc. I started to get obsessed with this game. And some of my friends don't like this game, and they say it's bad. It's their opinion, just a game. But when they say it is bad, especially the story, it's what I get most obsessed. I get literally so flicking mad. And like 20 minutes ago, they said the story was bad, and I got so flicking angry that I started to scream at the microphone and almost swear at them. I was in a Discord call. I know that I sound like a mad kid, and I know that this shit ain't normal, and I need to get over it. What are your opinions? It's not a joke. I am dead serious about this. Story 16. I regret not being there for my ex. I guess I'll start right after I switched majors in college. At the beginning of my junior year of college, I switched majors from engineering to media because I was disillusioned by low grades and no chance of a social life, usual engineering student stuff. During this time, I was walking the line of suicidal and deeply depressed. I was grinding out calculus and physics hours a day for failing grades. That's where I decided to change majors, but I still had to catch up because I was a semester behind and I had to take a lot of classes in succession, so it was 4 more semesters minimum. At the same time, I was in my long-distance relationship. My ex is a great person and was very sweet to me and very supportive throughout all of this, and I appreciate her greatly for everything she's done, and she knows it, as we still talk occasionally. As I went throughout my major, my classes were more demanding and required more in-person camera and audio work to work on media projects to fill our portfolios. These projects required everyone to show up, because if they weren't able to fulfill their roles, they wouldn't be graded well on the projects, and some of the professors were very honest about the critiques of these productions. By the beginning of my senior year, I was doubling up, requiring me to be on campus constantly, and never letting me go home or visit either of my divorced parents. During this time, I started to feel burnt out and exhausted, and I was panicking because I wasn't graduating on time with my friends. This made me very depressed, because I wasn't graduating, forced to spend months on campus without friends, in a very antisocial campus. At this time, I started withdrawing from everyone, and started focusing on getting my work finished. Over time, we became my ex, and I grew more distant, and I felt like every day was exactly the same. I was in a constant state of anxiety and afraid of being judged by my classmates, as I recently received hard criticisms from classmates after failing as the director of photography. I even started skipping classes to lay in bed so I could avoid the feeling of being judged by them. At this time, my ex started fighting with me more because she felt neglected by me during this time, and I agreed to try to make it better because she couldn't take time off from her schedule as a barista in my hometown. At the same time, her grandmother was very ill, and she might have to leave to go visit or go to the funeral at any time. As the semester went on, I supported her through the updates, and we tried to communicate as best we could. But that was until my dad was diagnosed with kidney failure. This made me spiral, and it wasn't long until my entire life felt like I was in a trance, and I was simply going through the motions while a plastic was encasing my face. At this time, I arranged to see my dad for Christmas because of the diagnosis. I told my ex, and she was hesitant but understood why I was doing it, as I've dealt with a lot of moving during the holidays because of my parents. But that was until Christmas. On Christmas Day, her grandmother died, and I was arranged to be with my dad until the day after New Year's. The funeral was supposed to be the day of New Year's, and my ex struggled with sobriety and wanted me around for her sober date, which was New Year's Day. She asked me to go with her to go to the funeral, but at the time I felt like seeing my dad was more important because he was my actual family, and I didn't know how much time we had left with him, considering his condition with a fresh diagnosis. The night of New Year, she texted me to tell me that she's not happy because people were asking her where I was, and that slowly made her more and more angry with me. The day after I got back, she tried to break up with me, but we tried to make it work for a short period of time before she made up her mind that she couldn't handle it anymore. Fast forward to now, about a year later. My ex and I occasionally talk and we're friends. My dad is still alive, but due to distance, we're not as close as we once were. I've since graduated, and I've done a lot of work on my mental health since the spiral. I do deeply regret not being there for her. During that time, she didn't deserve to feel as neglected as she did. She has also gone on to apologize for not taking my mental health as seriously during that time as she should have. We found a way to forgive each other, but I do still blame myself for what happened. Story 17. I, 19M, struggle to know if I love my pregnant girlfriend, 18F. Hello Reddit. This is my first post, so please bear with me. I've also posted this on another subreddit because I really just need as much advice I can get. For context, me and my GF have been together for 2 years. We were together for about a year before we broke up for 2 months, and then hooked up, which led to her becoming pregnant. Before we broke up, our relationship was okay at best, which is both of our fault, because we lacked communication, and this distanced us, leaving us insecure about each other, her more than me. I initially broke up with her because it felt like she was suffocating me. I was and am her only serious relationship. I would switch my classes to be with her as well as leave some of my classes just to be with her. She would very often come home on the bus with me until eventually she would go to her house, and 3 hours later we would FaceTime, until we have to sleep while also staying on FaceTime while we sleep. She's now 7 months pregnant and has been living with me, as her home is not safe for a pregnant woman. I feel as if I struggle to love her because the amount of stress I've been in. I work a shitty job and don't get paid enough to live for a week. I also have to help my mom with bills because rent is expensive. I feel almost depressed because I never got to experience life after high school, and it's taking a toll on me. I often find myself thinking of being with someone else because I just want something new. I also don't want to tell her that I want to just co-parent because I'm afraid she's not going to let me see my kid. So Reddit, is there anything I can do? Sorry for the long post. If anyone has questions, I'll answer as many comments as I can. Story 18. I miss my dead female family member. I wasn't sad when she died a few years, but now I'm realizing that she was the only one I liked of the family, and I fucking despise all the other ones still living, and it was just a cope. It's all hitting me at once. She was an angel, and I fucking miss her. She was so sweet, and I loved her, and I wish I visited her more, and now she gone, and I'm fucking angry, and I'm pissed, and I'm sad. I used to kind of look down on her for doing some silly things and shit I thought was stupid, and now I know I'm a fucking asshole for ever thinking that, and I just didn't want to admit to myself that I actually just really admired her. I've become a lot like her, and I wish she could see me now, and I'm just fucking sad, dude. I'm just realizing how much I actually liked her and really loved her, and how little I told her. I wasn't withholding, but I'm now profoundly regretful of not telling her or realizing how much she meant to me before she was gone. I'm just now noticing her being gone several years later, and it's hurting. Story 19. I am starting to hate my body even more. Dear Diary XD, I am beginning to hate my body even more than I have ever. From the issues with my PCOS, hirsutism, irregular period, weight gain, stretch marks all over my jiggly body, my boobs that only look full in a bra, tire waist, apron belly double chin, and hunchback. Can't even forget my insides. Emotionally unstable, panic attacks by the day, and chronic headaches at this point. As much as I hate it all, I have no care to change myself. Every time I try, I fail. I don't want to keep trying. I feel like every time someone tries to say I'm pretty, they are trying to make me feel better. I don't want to hear it. I don't need a reminder of what. I know I am. Yes, I lack confidence. Always have. Even when I was the fittest I had ever been. But confidence does not outrank the reality of how I actually look. At least it makes it easier for men to avoid. Story 20. I have been engaging in sexual flirting with my soon-to-be married coworker. Getting this off my chest because it's truly been the heaviest feeling yet. I travel a lot for work, so I get to see many places and meet a lot of people throughout my job. And unfortunately, it does attract some very unfortunate situations. While I'm currently away from home for another work assignment, I've been at this location for over a month, and my coworker and I have been extremely flirty. I'm pretty sure it's crossed some boundaries. I'm single, but they're not, and it just really kills me. I think when I started at this job location, I was in a very vulnerable place. My ex and I had recently broken up, and it felt like a fun, temporary distraction because I found them funny and entertaining at work. It really took my mind off things. Eventually, it became extremely flirty, and now it has turned very sexual between us. While we've never done anything physical and agreed not to due to our own boundaries, we definitely both feel an intense sexual desire, and I can't help but feel this constant heavy guilt every time I leave work. I never call myself a saint, because I engage in this and entertain it more than I know I should. The few times I've tried to distance myself and stop, they just chase me more, and I hate that I fall back into the trap. It's this constant battle of wanting to engage but feeling guilt, and it truly has been eating at me. We have never hung out alone outside of work. It has always been just at work during late night hours, usually never alone in the office, but our conversations do get sexual, and it's awful to realize we both want to engage in this. We both have self-control despite the desire, but for me, it's the constant guilt I feel. It's deeper than morals. It's about what I feel I'm representing for myself, which is not something I'm proud of. I can't help but think, why do I keep engaging in this? The good part is that I leave this job location in 2 to 3 weeks, and we'd never see each other again. Since I travel a lot for work, that brings some relief, but it still affects me so much. Story 21. I have an odd fixation on emotional pain. My job is odd. I deal with folks of all walks of life, of every country I've heard of. I hear their story from them and move on to the next. I make a good living, keep my wife and kid well taken care of. However, I have this weird fixation on emotional pain. I never seek to inflict pain. I just listen or observe the physical manifestations of it. I don't like that someone is experiencing pain. I just appreciate the pain. It means you're alive. It means you have empathy. It means you can feel. It makes us human. And so often I feel so little or so alone, even with the family we built, because I travel and am alone so much. I have a favorite too, which I recognize is horrible. The type of pain that breaks who you thought you were. The type that can physically bring you to your knees. To be broken is such an amazing type of pain. I've had it done to me, and yes, I was feeling it, sad and alone, but I made a better, or so I say, version of who I am. It happened a few times. Death, partners cheating, etc. Every time I appreciate it because it means I can feel things. Whereas I was told by 3 psychologists I was a sociopath who can't feel. I do feel, and for everyone I meet, I feel the pain, joy, and everything in between. I also feel negatively for having my fixation. I'm about to go watch my father pull the plug on his father. I know he's going to be a wreck, and in our culture he won't shed a tear, but he will feel pain unlike any he's felt. He will become an orphan as a grown man, which we all eventually do. I cannot stop thinking about the pain, because pain is such a unique and beautiful thing. I do not know why I fixate on pain. I just see it as the thing that makes you whole, although in pieces. Pain deepens every attachment, and I love that we feel it now. I know, fucking wacko. Why on earth do I love pain so much? I can claim the violent childhood or violent adulthood, but it doesn't seem like the cause. I feel like it's just me, and I have a bad brain. Is something wrong with me? Or do others feel this way? Story 22. My friend's fiancé is cheating on him. One of my best friends is engaged and bought a house months ago to move in with his fiancé and her daughter. not my friend's daughter here. He is currently taking charge of arranging the house to live with her since the house is not ready yet. However, while my friend was preparing everything to live with her, he had to leave the country for family reasons for a few months, while his fiancée stayed preparing everything to live with him when he returned. A few days ago, my wife told me that her coworker has been talking to my friend's fiancé in a more than just friendly way. Even though they had known each other for a long time, my wife's coworker and my friend's fiancé had practically no contact. They did not speak often, much less a friendship. Since my wife thought it was very strange, she decided to pressure her coworker to tell her more, and he showed her several messages where my friend's fiancé was evidently flirting with him, asking for photos, and repeatedly telling him to go out on a date together. My friend is about to return to the country, happy to move in with his fiancé, so I don't know what to do. Everything in me tells me that I should tell him, but I have no solid proof of anything, and he is too in love with her. We have been friends since we were little children, and I don't want to lose my friend, but I also don't want him to continue being cheated on with a woman who is not faithful. So maybe I forget all this. Any suggests? Story 23. Am I like this because I'm a guy, or am I brain damaged? I, M28, was bored in the kitchen, so I started making mashed potatoes. So I diced some potatoes and threw them in a pot and turned the stove on. While waiting, I noticed that these potatoes were easier to dice than usual, and I DK what got a hold of me. But I grabbed another raw potato and took a bite out of it. It didn't taste great, but it wasn't horrible. So I took another bite, and then I thought that salt would make it even better. So I took my salt shaker and sprinkler salt on top and finished the whole potato. So is this a guy thing, or am I actually brain damaged? TLDR, I ate a raw potato. Oh, am I a guy or am I broken? Story 24. I feel guilty and lazy for quitting my second retail job. I am currently a full-time college student who also works. I live with my boyfriend who does the same. I applied to a couple other places to get a second job. Well, I got one, but the management turned out to be bad. The job itself was very easy, and I got a lot of hours. I quit the job today because of the management talking awful about other employees and customers. But I feel guilty because I know I can work 2 jobs, but I quit. Did I just miss out on an opportunity? Will I regret this? Did I do something that will be better for me down the line? I still have my other job. How do I get out of this bad mind space that I'm not doing enough? Story 25. I like causing drama. I love starting drama. In real life and in subs. Just today I started an argument for fun. Even my job is arguing just for fun. I'm a lawyer. I live for this shit. It's always something harmless. I'm not a monster. I don't want to ruin someone's day or life. Just annoy them for a few hours. Make them shake their phone. Sometime when I post in a sub I get DMS about the post, and we argue, and then they sometimes block me. It's like a reward. Just today I posted in a sub and can see the drama unfold in the comments. I love Reddit for this. When I had a tough day at work, I sometimes take it out on the worst clients. I cause drama for them. Bureaucratic drama, chaos, unnecessary steps for them. It's only the clients that are shitty to us and our colleagues in administration. Story 26. Nanny cams. A long one, but a goodie. I'm male and was 40 and happily married when the stuff below went down. I have a bit of a voyeur fetish and got to enjoy it when we had a legitimate reason to use some nanny cams a few years ago. We used them for actual nanny camming with 2 nannies we hired. The nannies lived in a basement apartment with a separate entrance and had their own private space. The deal was that they'd watch the kiddos 3 or 4 days a week in exchange for rent, utilities, any food they wanted to eat while they were on shift, and we paid them a small hourly wage on top of that. Their arrangement was that needed to work 15 to 20 hours over 3 or 4 days, plus 1 date night each week, and we made it pretty flexible so they could have at least a part-time job elsewhere or go to school, etc. Given all the craziness in the world, we felt that we needed to have nanny cams, so I put up 4. 1 in the living room, 1 in the kitchen/dining area, 1 in the kiddos' room, and 1 in the master bedroom. This was just before so many fancy, Wi-Fi capable tiny hidden cameras became available where you might check in on your phone at any given moment. They were small alarm clocks with a camera that was set on a motion sensor, so only recorded when someone was in the room, and no sound. Each one had an SD card that I'd have to take out to download videos onto my computer. I'd review the footage daily at first, then only every few days by playing all 4 at one time to save time, and fast-forwarding at 5x or 10x just to see if anything crazy happened. They never went in our master bedroom, so we felt good they were not snoopers. But it is very interesting what people do when they think no one is watching, and also when they think that someone is watching. Although none of the stuff I described below were the main reasons we let each of them go, here's my confession about what I saw on the cams. The first young woman was 19 or 20 and was very sweet, but ended up being pretty immature and unreliable. It was her first time living away from home. She had a boyfriend would show up and stay overnight. Okay, but we were never properly introduced to this guy who was sleeping under our roof with just an unlocked door between the living spaces. And there was drinking involved when she was off the clock in her apartment, which was a problem because she was underage. We knew she Snapchatted, but it was pretty bad. She would Snapchat constantly, like a real addiction, all day long, sometimes lifting her shirt and snapping a pic of her in her sports bra, which she seemed to get reactions for, based on her reactions. Most days, she would spend a few hours lounging on the couch while the kiddos played or watched a show or napped, and I noticed that she would casually put her hand in waistband. I thought it was funny at first, because it looked totally like she was hanging out Ed Bundy style. Thank you. Keep in mind that I'm watching 4 videos simultaneously, at 5x or 10x speed. Well, one day, I thought it looked like she was going a little deeper, so I slowed it down. And then I looked back at some older footage, and when I watched future footage, it was clear that she did indeed have a hand down her shorts or sweatpants or PJs, and she was playing with herself. This occasionally happened while the kiddo was watching a show in the same room. A little cringy, but she was not doing it a creepy way. However, it was usually when the kiddo was down for a nap or engaged with toys in another room, and she was all into her phone and herself. She never got too wild or appeared to climax during these sessions, but she was definitely rubbing herself down there continually and off and on for hours all day long while Snapchatting or scrolling or whatever she was doing on her phone, all while lounging on a couch or recliner in our living room. She never knew we had a nanny cam, and I never mentioned this to her. I felt like my wife should know, so I showed her and she was aware, and we mostly shrugged it off. One thing that made us cringe was that she didn't wash her hands before she would cuddle our kiddos or made food, etc. And my wife and I casually slipped it into a conversation that we'd like her to wash hands more, which she did. She really was sweet with the kiddos, but we let her go because she was not very attentive and ended up being unreliable. She would call off with short notice, probably just hungover, and my wife or I had to miss work, etc. And we didn't think she could handle a second child, as we were expecting kiddo number 2. We thought we chose better with second woman we hired, but we were mistaken. She was a little older, 27-ish, came from a large family, had been on her own for a while, was getting out of a roommate situation, had experience watching kids, had a decent part-time business that was very flexible, and we made a schedule that worked for everyone, for the most part, at first. But she ended up being a total hot mess mindfuck. Unreliable, and even started requesting off-the-wall stuff like demanding that we hire a babysitter in the middle of the day when she was scheduled to work as our nanny so that she could go to the gym. The last straw was when she had a relative stay with her for a few days, which turned into a few weeks, and they were smoking pot regularly. Now, I'm not opposed to it, but it was not legal in the state, and we just couldn't have it under our roof. Plus, one of the furnace air intakes was in the basement, so we'd smell pot smoke all over the house whenever they lit up. Anyway, I started the same routine, watching footage daily, and then every few days. Again, all 4 cams at once, on like 5x or 10x speed, because this would have been a huge time suck otherwise. By this time, we had kiddo number 1, age 2-ish, and an infant. She was good with the infant, but pretty short with kiddo number 1, and we felt too rough a few times, like dragging him to his room for a nap when he had a meltdown, as any parent might do sometime, but not as gentle as you would expect someone else to be with your child. She crossed a line when she thumped him on the forehead with a finger flick for making a mess while eating spaghetti. The kiddo was 2. Not cool. My wife and I watched the questionable discipline and agreed that we needed to have a talk with her, but give her a chance. Considering this woman's personality, we decided that it would be best to play good cop, bad cop, so I told her that we had put up the nanny cams, that I was the one to review them, that I noticed these specific incidents where she was too physical with discipline and she needed to dial it back. I also emphasized to her that my wife hadn't seen the nanny cam footage, and I hadn't told her about these incidents, but I was pretty sure that she'd just say we needed to end the arrangement. We hoped that this would be good enough, and it did the trick. She wasn't rough with kiddo number 1 again. However, I didn't actually tell her where the nanny cams were. Instead, before I met her for the talk, I had hooked up a couple old webcams to small USB power supplies and set one in the living room looking into the dining/kitchen and the other in the kid's bedroom. I placed them inconspicuous enough but apparent when I pointed them out, and she got the impression that they had been there all along and she just didn't notice. In the meantime, the 4 nanny cams we actually had were set up in slightly different locations, so here's where this chick went nuts. I will also say that she sometimes seemed like she might have been a little flirty with me, but nothing blatant. Like when she showed up to the one-on-one talk with me for lunch at a restaurant near my workplace, she came in a mini skirt and tight top, but I know that she just came from a job where she wore scrubs. However, she did try to play my wife and me off each other and manipulate us a bit, which we saw through, and it was easy enough to deal with. I will also add that she had a tight, hard body and wasn't ugly, although not exactly my type, and I would never have considered fooling around with this basket case. But some things changed after she became aware that we had a couple of nanny cams, and I was the only one who reviewed them. She had done some casual yoga exercises before, but she started doing them more regularly in the living room. Yep, just her in tight yoga pants and a sports bra, placing her body in many flexible positions for an hour or so each day, in the middle of the frame of what she thought was a working video camera. I picked it up from another angle on the actual cam. Previously, she might be in PJs or casual sweats while she was watching the kiddos, but after she knew I was watching a camera, she'd change clothes 2 or 3 times a day and dress up or down, sometimes in a skirt and sometimes in big t-shirt, like she might sleep in but with no PJ pants, and whatever. A few times after she put the kiddos down for a nap, she'd apparently take a quick shower in her apartment, but then come back up and walk through the living room in only a towel, as if she was rushing back to check on the sleeping baby in the crib in the living room. But the best was yet to come. One day she turned a dining chair around to face the sliding glass door out the back. Then she stripped buck naked and proceeded to do some yoga poses while standing on the chair. She did this for about 30 minutes. Pausing only to rub some lotion all over her naked body, and I mean in every nook and cranny. She then put her yoga outfit back on and sauntered back through the living room. Now, the way she had positioned the chair and herself, she would have been only slightly in view of the fake camera, like it was supposed to be a tease, and perhaps she might have some plausible deniability that she thought she was out of view of the camera, perhaps if I ever asked and took it badly. However, she was actually in full view of both the living room cam and the kitchen/dining cam, giving me 2 clear pictures, one with a profile view and great natural side lighting, and the other with her in a full frontal or full rear positions, although a little silhouetted at times against the windows. Either way, as she thought that she was slightly out of view, I could see her prep herself for the show and smile about it. I never told my wife about this bullshit. We let her go shortly after that because she was a hot mess, and we were losing too much work when she wouldn't show up to watch the kids. We also let her stay in the apartment for a couple weeks so she could find another place. It was a bit awkward, but during that time, I did let he know that I noticed some curious behavior and asked whether she intended for me to see her doing her naked yoga stuff. She got smug and said, "Well, I guess now we'll never know." Story 27. I feel sad that I'll never look like the women I want to look like. I have a Pinterest board full of women I find attractive, and it makes me depressed that I look nothing like them. I wish I could fit the beauty standards and actually feel what it feels like to be beautiful. There are women who, just by existing, make me realize I'm not even the same species as them. They make me realize that I'm inferior and I should just give up because I'll never be as desirable as they are. Being beautiful and feminine was all that I ever wanted in life. I feel like a failure as a woman, and hate considering myself a woman because I don't resemble one. I'm a hideous creature, so seeing beautiful women all the time reminds me I'm nothing, and really will never be. Their very existence crushes me. I know I'll never look the way they do, and I so desperately want to. The guy the first follows pretty white/Asian girls on Instagram, but I'm not white or Asian, I'm an ugly brown girl. I feel trapped inside a body I don't like. It's so ugly and looks horrible, and I don't like its hair, face, or anything about it. I don't know how I'm supposed to live life in a body I hate. Story 28. IDKY, but for some reason, I just hate the kid I was in middle school. I'm 19 meters now, so it's been a while, but sometime I'll go through old photos and videos and see myself as a middle schooler and genuinely just dislike the kid I see. Not even because of physical looks. I wasn't a bully, nor was I bullied. But I just look at myself and wonder how I was such a little annoying and kid. I try to block off that part of my mind, but I think I was just looking for attention all the time and would be doing the most. And it just makes me feel upset knowing that some people might remember me as that little annoying kid they knew. I got new friends in high school and changed completely, thankfully. To put it simply, I feel like if middle school me was my little brother, I'd think he was a bitch. I know I was just a kid, but still, something about it just angers me for some reason. Story 29. I easily develop an attraction to people who bully me, make me feel like shit. Am I okay? So I'm 16F and in high school. It all started when I was in middle school. In middle school, I was considered the weird kid, and people would constantly bully me for my interests and how I looked. Sometimes people would make backhanded compliments, and some would just call me the R slur and tell me to K*LL myself. I still see those people now, but only a few still are on my ass 24/7. I had this rumor saying I was dating my cousin, and that grossed me the hell out. So I kept telling people that me and him are cousins, and tried saying we weren't dating, but then they started saying I'm dating my cousin, and the harassment got worse. I've tried telling the counselor at the time, but not much was done about it, and the bullying got worse. I even got beaten up over it. But currently, I still have that rumor around, but it's not as big. And I still get bullied by this particular person, 15M. He's way taller than me, he's a dreadhead, his face is symmetrical, he's just generally an attractive guy, and he's my type. Him and his friends every day keep approaching me and insulting me and telling me to go hang myself. They keep calling me the Keck slur and the R slur, and calling me special ed. And sometimes during classes, he'd act nice but make very rude and snide comments, typically about my appearance or about my interests or any sort of rumor about me ever. One time he was talking about me to his friends, and he said that I'm too autistic to catch on to those comments. The thing is, I have a huge crush on him, and when he does these things to me, it turns me on so much. When him or his friends are like that, to me it makes me fantasize things about all of them. It's gotten to the point where I've intentionally been around these people because I want them to bully me. I really want to be his girl, but like, I know he'd never want me, even despite how bad I want him. I've been more into characters that are narcissistic, or like would bully the MC, generally red flag characters like that. I want them to step on me and make me their bitch. I want them to insult me and tell me to go K*LL myself. I feel gross and kinda weird for this sort of thing. I feel like a creep because of this. I have no clue how to feel. I'm not proud of this. I hate myself over this, and I don't know why I feel this way. Story 30. I miss you and I'm sorry. I am sorry I made you feel second best. That's not how poly/ENM is supposed to work. I'm just so damn busy with school and work that I didn't have enough time for you and my wife. Trying to keep a friendship with you has been good for me, hopefully for you as well. Selfishly, I'll admit, I was/am hoping that keeping a connection with you would allow us to rekindle a relationship later on, because I felt like we had so much great chemistry, just lousy timing. Anyway, I think this account is anonymous enough that even if you happen to see this, you won't put it together that it's about us. Story 31. I'm terrified of my ex, and yet I miss her painfully. It's her birthday today, and I'm fucked up. We haven't spoken in over 5 years now, and I just have deep pain and regret, and I don't understand why these feelings are back after so long. It's been like a year and a half of this at this point, as I was pretty much alright about it all before then, I guess. But apparently not, since I'm feeling all this shit. I cried so hard the other day that I burst all of the capillaries around my damn eyes. I hate feeling like this, and as I understand it, she explicitly doesn't want to speak to me, which it is her right to have that peace. But I also feel like there was just a lot that never got said, starting with a big fat I'm sorry from me. I am definitively the one who fucked everything all up to begin with, and consistently made the decisions that consistently pushed everything down the wrong path. I feel immense guilt for it, and I just want to express that. I know I can't reach out, so I guess this is it. Story 32. Should I forgive my dad? As you can tell by the title, my dad kinda messed up, but IDK what to do. So basically it happened during the lockdown, and my dad was stuck in a different country for work, and I didn't see him the entire pandemic except for video calls. So during the lockdown, after a year, he applied to come back to our country and was quarantined and everything. YK the procedure. After he came back, obviously we were also happy he came back, and he was gonna stay for like 2 months before going back to work there. However, he was kinda odd when he came back. I was around 14 years old during this time, and my dad called me to his room to help him use our new laptop, and he started touching my thighs and went slowly up until my breasts. Of course, I was very uncomfortable, but I did not know what was wrong. After that, my dad just started calling me to his room when my mom and sisters weren't around, and would just straight out try to French kiss me and caress my breasts on the bed. But I always felt uncomfortable, but never told anything because obviously he is my dad, and I also didn't know what was happening. If my mom bought new bras, he would squeeze my breasts and ask, "How are the new bras?" And that's when I finally asked him why he kisses me like that, and he casually said, "Because he loves me." My relationship with him is very different, because I completely avoid him, because I'm scared something like this will happen again, and the fact that I used to be the ultimate daddy's little princess and now our relationship is so strained. Till this day, I haven't told my mom nor my sisters because I'm scared it will affect my parents' relationship or something. Till now, only my school's counseling teacher knows about this because during our high school mental health test, my results showed I was stressed, so I went for counseling. But my parents never knew about this. Anyways, I want your opinions, like should I forget about this incident and be more closer with my dad, or should I tell my mom? Story 33. I fucked up real bad, so I really did a bad thing. I really feel bad about myself and I don't know what to do. So here's the full context of the story of what happened. I took my mom's credit card and I started using it, buying online things, doing online purchases without her noticing for about 3 months. And recently she discovered that the amount in her bank account isn't enough. So she went to the bank and she asked for the statement to see where the money was going. And she saw a lot of charges, $2.50, $29, $30, but the total summed up to $300. So for her, she knew it was me because she once gave me her card details, so she just knew that as the son who stole the money from the bank. Keeping in mind this is an African parent, and I'm African too, so things were heated during this conversation. I can say things are really bad. It was like World War II. So she made a WhatsApp group and she added my twin, because my twin is studying in a different country, which is India. And she said that there's going to be a family meeting at around 6:20 in the evening. So she comes at home and she says that I know that you stole my money. You stole more than $300 from my account. And she say, don't even argue with me and make it worse, because I'm gonna hit you. So she started saying that even if you die, I wouldn't give a fuck. Like, would you all die today? We'll just cry today. And the next day we wouldn't give a fuck. And she kept on saying a lot of bad stuff, man. She said that you are the only gray sheep in the family. So basically she gave me a punishment. She said that whenever I'm going to school now, I won't use an aeroplane as a means of transport, but I will go with the boss. And she said that she won't be giving me pocket money anymore when I'm going to school. She said that even if I go out and whore around, she wouldn't give a fuck. I have asked for forgiveness, but still I feel very bad, and to be honest, I really felt suicidal after what she said, that even if I die, she wouldn't care about me. And I don't know what you do, man, but I just know that I'm a really bad person, and I don't think I deserve to live, do I? She said she will never ever trust me, and that whenever she needs help, she won't ask at home, but she would rather go ask someone outside. Story 34. A friend of mine passed today and I missed my chance to hang out with them one last time. This happened a few hours ago and my heart is hurting. Everything. A really great coworker turned friend passed away today. He moved away a few months ago, but we talked often. He came back into town for NYE, but because of other plans we didn't meet up. We haven't talked since that day because I guess life just got in the way, but right now I'm regretting that deeply. I wish I would have reached out just to say hey or check in. I wish I would have told him one more time how much his friendship made coming to work so much better. He taught me so much and had so many stories, and I just loved being around him. Everyone knew it. If you saw one of us, you saw the other. And I just want to tell him how great of an impact he had on me. Even though he left the job and I was sad to be there without him, I know it's going to be a little bit harder now that he's not here at all. I know he wouldn't want me to cry, but I might. I already miss him. He had so much life left in him, and I'm sad he's not going to get to live it. JSI. Wherever you are, I hope you know you were loved and admired by your peers. You got us through the hard times by always keeping us laughing. Our age difference didn't stop you from being one of my favorite people. I'll miss you dearly. Rest up on the other side. I'm not great at sharing my emotions and just needed a space to vent. But if you take away anything from this, please tell those you love that you love them. Tell those you miss that you miss them, even if it's just a passing thought that brought them to your mind. You never know when it's the last time you'll talk to someone. Story 35. I stand very close to men in public transport, so they push their crotch against my ass. I go to school by bus and train and back home during peak hours, so we're always packed like sardines. I usually have to stand. It's mostly men standing, and I get off on the idea of them pushing their dick against my ass, so I always stand in front of them. I park my ass very, very close to them and wait to see if they take the risk to push their crotch a little forward so it touches my ass. 90% of the time they do it, whether they're young guys or old men. It helps that I gave big ass so they feel more tempted to do it. I love the idea of risky public stuff while no one around has any idea we're doing something sexual. I wear thin leggings or flare pants so I can feel their dick better and they feel my ass better. I love feeling them go from soft to hard. They almost always get an erection. Now, I've even made some of them come in their pants. Well, rather they did it by low-key thrusting against me or by the vibrations of the train/bus. I always pretend to be innocent and not know what's going on. Makes it more exciting for me personally. Story 36. I am sick of my parents visiting me at the hospital and I'm feeling guilty about it. I've been at the hospital for more than 20 days now. As an introvert, this is absolutely exhausting. Rooms are shared, and on the rare occasion there's no other patient here, you always have doctors and nurses coming in. I'm fairly social, but I also require a lot of time for myself to restore my energy. After 20 days of having virtually not a single moment for myself, my social battery is really, really, really low. And the worst part is probably my parents being here all the time. Visits are allowed from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m., and they make it a point to be here as much as they can. While I appreciate the support, I'm not sure I can take it anymore. I need to be alone. I need to have time for myself. Plus, they just come and sit there. They don't even bring a book or anything, and I can help but feel guilty about it. And also, a little bit angry, too. They should know me better than to think I prefer being watched over 24/7 over having at least a couple hours for myself a day. They don't seem to get that I'm tired and in a non-chatty mood. By trying to be supportive, they're just making an already terrible experience a bit worse than it should be. Story 37. My best friend's abuser is living her best life and I can't stand it. 1 year ago, my 20F best friend since middle school, 19M, met a girl online, 20F. They started being friends for months, but eventually got really close last May/June when he started developing feelings. The girl pretended to like him back, even though she had and still has a boyfriend. And that's when the psychological abuse started. She isolated him from her friends and family, tricked him into thinking she was the only one to love him, gaslighted him, blamed everything on him whenever she was feeling upset, and so on. The psychological abuse got so intense, my friend is now emotionally reliant, depressed, and suicidal. The past months she's been playing with that by blocking him out of nowhere, then unblock him saying he made her do that, which affects my friend a lot. Not to mention he's severely autistic and doesn't manage his feelings properly. Recently she started telling him, "I love you" again, but she also ghosts him regularly for weeks. My friend got PTSD from her and is now so isolated, stressed, and depressed that he got suicidal. I haven't mentioned everything to respect his privacy, but this goes way further than it seems. My friend is the sweetest person ever, absolutely unharmful, and she destroyed him. He's autistic and often just behaves like a child. She basically just destroyed a child who just wanted to be loved. I don't know how she sleeps peacefully at night. He wasn't even a loner or unstable. I guess it can happen to everyone. The girl is living her best life, still talking to my friend and destroying his mental health. I wish everyone fucking knew. I wish I could expose her. I wish her parents knew who their daughter is. I wish her siblings knew who their sister is. I wish her so many friends knew who their friend is. I wish her boyfriend knew who his girlfriend is. Me and a friend have already tried to sympathize with her for months. We tried talking to her, finding solutions to help my friend's mental health, but she never fucking learned accountability. Nothing is basically her fault, and she doesn't owe him any reparation. Now she blocked us. I hate her so much. I wish I could expose her without risking anything. Everyone should be able to know. My friend might not be the first or the last one. Story 38. I, 18F, do not like my parents. Let me get one thing straight. I love my parents. They have worked their asses off to provide for me and my brother, trying their hardest to raise us and make sure our family is always healthy and safe. But I do not like them. Their personalities and mine are barely the same. And even if they are, because I don't want to accept the similarities, we do not get along. My dad is a very loud person and an extrovert. He is very vocal with his opinions, and he gets extremely defensive whenever someone disagrees. To me, he is very obnoxious and enjoys talking down to people, including me, my mom, and people he works with. He talks to me like a coworker, and I feel like he wants to command and shape me like a boss to his employee. But I do not want my dad to be my boss. My mom is an extrovert too. She thinks she is a quirky, but she is childish and does not take accountability when she upsets me. She treats me like her best friend and wants to befriend me as her daughter, but I do not want to be friends with my mom. And that clashes when she constantly nags me about everything, switching between mom and bestie. When I tell her that I want a mom, not another friend, during our little fights, she is moved to negative tears. I want to enjoy my parents' presence. I like to do fun things with them, like going outdoors and family events. But I do not want to be so close to them. I want people who will guide me through the early stages of life, to help and support me, give me meaningful advice, and prepare me for the world. Not friends. Ever since childhood, my parents let me do things by myself, and I have ended up not nearly as knowledgeable as my other friends when it comes to living alone and the realities of things. Taxes, insurance, friendships, etc. Instead of parents, now that I am going to college next year, they are like roommates. I think this is my brain telling me I have been around the same people for too long. My dad encourages me to get into a good university, be independent, and find a well-paying office job like him. My mom wants to keep me home forever and never stops talking my ear off about how she wants me to go out on dates with her when she is elderly and be her full-time caregiver. A part of me is afraid this is not the normal feelings about leaving the nest, of transitioning to adulthood, and I am being mean to my parents. My brother tells me that I should be nicer to them if I really love them and give them the benefit of the doubt when they hurt me or make a lot of mistakes. He visits the house every chance he gets and doesn't understand my cruel attitude or need for space towards my parents. I do love them, and I want to be there for them as much as they have for me. But I want my own life, and I want to be prepared for it. I just do not get along with these people who happen to be my parents. 39. Meaningless existence. I can't do anything, can't do the most basic tasks, People don't see this, but it is a constant war in my brain, just fussing about doing work or not, gotten too far, life isn't worth living, death is beautiful, eternal peace, no more voices. For some reason, I literally have the solution to every problem I have, but I am too lazy to implement. TBH, I know I am smart, I know I am capable, but everyone who is born is capable, right? IDK, what to do? It's a very monotonous life. I am a disappointment, not good for anything. Killing myself would solve them. No one will probably see this, but even if y'all give me solutions, I know faux show, I won't follow them. I feel like I have allergy to work. Literally, even if there is nothing to distract men, I will still not do it. Anyway, this is no way to live. It's like this chronic laziness. God knows I have tried to EVR commit. It doesn't happen. IK. Most of y'all must be thinking, lol, just do it, but it's not that easy. I mean, I'd literally KMS rather than work, so yeah, it's serious. Fuck life. Story 40. Scared and extremely angry on remembering some events from my school days. I am scared while I am typing this since I have been under this trauma for a while now. My school was pretty toxic and haunting, and it was a place and feeling that I was never able to openly share about until today. I studied at a private convent school. Extremely toxic and traumatic experience. Felt dictatorship right at my childhood. When I was in the 8th standard, aged 13, me and my best friend each kept a secret diary where we wrote our hearts out about our life and shared it with each other and write comments about it. I know, pretty stupid. One day, I wrote something mean about one of my English teachers, who was actually a very bad human being. She was partial to some specific students and never gave attention to the others. I badly wanted to be part of a school club, but upon asking her for it, she ignored me, claiming that there's no position available. Immediately after, I heard her offering a position to one of her favorite students in the same club. I felt extremely betrayed and went ahead to write whatever I felt about her. She was mean and hid her true self under a very presentable and glamorous fashion. The next week, suddenly I get to hear that my diary was leaked in another section of my class. It was picked up by someone from my friend's bag and shown to everyone in the class, including the class teacher, who took us both to the principal's office. Our principal, a senior sister, wasn't a good lady either. She was a very powerful, dominating, emotionless, and merciless lady. Once I even saw her hitting a little boy of 8 years since he arrived a few minutes late to school. She always used to hit my Christian classmates who refused to come to the school church for prayers on Sundays, in a very merciless manner. Our principal called our parents, and it was yet another traumatic ride. She never wanted to understand why a child could have written such a thing. She called my parents, my mom was shocked, and my dad was at the office. She made my dad take leave and come to the principal's office, where she verbally threatened him about the consequences I will have to face if I don't apologize to that mean English teacher. I had to apologize to her. But some humans are way worse than they seem. She pretended to forgive me in front of the principal, but in the class, in front of an entire batch of 60 students, she kept on insulting me, neglecting me, and purposely attacking me from time to time. Moreover, there were other teachers who used to gain fun from torturing their students without understanding what a child might go through. They used to make us repeat things that we wrote in the diary as a method of punishment. So today I am here. If any of my friends OR teachers, OR sisters are here, WHO recognize this incident, please know. I am not at all regretful for this, and I wish that I had written more. You all are toxic robots and scumbags in the name of teachers and friends. Thank you.